Hello everybody, welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith 424 puzzle solved, nearing the estimated halfway mark. Probably a few zones left. Now last time, before we ended, or at least I was hypothesizing about trying these 6 difficulty puzzles before we zoom off to our next mechanic. So let's have a look and see if we can even begin to make some headway. So that has to do that, which means those do this. Which means that has to do that, which means this has to do this. All regions must have different shapes. Okay, well. There's our 2. That's done. Now, how big can these other shapes get is my next question. Hold on. If this is here making a domino, I guess this might have to be our 1 if these are going to make other, like that could be a shape, but if this is going to have either this or this, then I'm going to have problems relating to, I can't have another 2 now, so that's going to have to exist like that. But then this here could do that. No, that can't do that. It's going to get, yeah, it's going to get tricky. So let's just wipe that off the board a second. So I know that's true. This has to have an L shape, which is going to have to be that, because it can't be that. That's going to have to come out to there. That could be a domino, or that could come out that way and that could be our 1, but I'm not sure which. But what I'm noticing is this, and this, all as areas that need dead ends that are near corners, you know? It's going to make that tricky to get all of those resolved in a way that I'm going to be happy with. We also have these that are all in parallel. We can't do this. As much as it gets the 4 edges, then these would all be bad. This guy's interesting. They're going to need at least this much space, perhaps. Because we talked about this design in another level, where it's going to have to be, there's not enough note room on these canvases. It's going to have to either be big T or this guy. Is there one other where it could have an open space? I can't recall. I'm not going to get out the picture of all the pentominoes again. There's that one, there's that one, which is a terrible version of that. That's also wrong. It's this with that, or this with that, and it's that tile or that tile. Obviously, it can't be the long T. They don't have to be 5s. There's that to consider. Although, I guess that could do this. Then that could do that. Then that would be our 1. That would be our 2. But if that's our 1 and our 2, how do we do... I guess that can go that way. All right, this is viable, but whether it stands up to the rest of the puzzle being filled in, I don't know, and I don't have the best logic going on. Is there a fourth way we can do this? Because we've got T-shape, domino, L-shape. That would have to do that. Could do that then, and that would be there. That would come out to here. Possibly to there. That's going to have to come up. That's going to have to get to here if these are on parallels. That's going to have to get there if that's on parallels. It can't take a corner. This can come out to here. That's going to have to go to there if those are on parallels. Right, how do we resolve this? Is a fantastic question. That's a great question. Well, I've probably made too many assumptions already, haven't I? But it does give me some new perspective on things that we can and can't do at various points here. Let's just see if I can get a way to get all of these to be valid. It would have to be. Would it have to be this? I don't know if it would, but it leaves a 1 in the center. And I don't know how that goes otherwise. That would have to be our 2. That would become our 3. This can just grow out to as much space as it kind of wants to. Except that's not true. Something has to take this space to be a different color. Oh, God. Goose has gone to look out the window. Oh, no, he's coming over. Hold on. And he left immediately. Yeah, with these all needing to be dead ends next to these, it's really giving me food for thought about how we can do it. That is there any way to do this that isn't this? Is my big question. Like, there's that which is slightly different, but it still leaves 1 in the center. If those were together, that can't do that there. We know that's the very obviously true bit. So we can have that pinwheel. Or we can have that pinwheel. And I don't have a great reason how to choose one over the other. Well, that leaves this impossible shape remaining, because if that's going to be a 1, we can't do this and have those two be the same. We can't do that and leave that as a 1. We leave that as a 2. Can't do anything with that one as well. I just wish I had one other solid thing to grasp onto here. Okay, here's something I can grasp onto. Hold on, let's clear this off. Here's a thing that we definitely discovered in the last video that I'd kind of forgotten. These chevrons touching walls have to go out one, because we have one line. So it has to either be this with that line being it, or that with that line being it. So we know that that must come into the center, 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 that must go towards the center. So we know all those things to be true, which is good. If that goes that way, that can go that way. That seems to be most favorable, just of a sense of not having awkward 1s and 2s left over if we don't absolutely have to. Those are going to have to be different colors because they can't share this wall. And we can't trap that in, so that has to come to here. Now, in relation to our pinwheel, does that give us a definite direction that our hypothetical pinwheel can go? Interesting. Well, this can join that, right? That can join that. And that would have to go to there. That needs a line. That can come out to there. That needs a line. Alright, I'm starting to feel better about this. That needs that. This has to be a dead end. That has to be a dead end. That has to be a dead end. That has to be a dead end. That's a parallel. That's a parallel. That's a parallel. That's a parallel. Which means that must connect to those. Now this can't be a trio, because there's already a trio there. Which would mean that would have to come to there. And that would have to be a domino, which I don't love committing to this early. This can go to there. We've got a good bunch of strange and varied shapes out of this side, which I like to see, for sure. Just thinking about how we would get this edge here that I do not love. That has to have that line there. That has to have that line there. This has to be a different color than this. Oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. It's all come crumbling down. It was feeling reasonably good. But now I'm no longer convinced that this is necessarily going to be working right. This guy is giving me trouble because we can't have these ones around. That's a 2. This can't go to there. So this whole side is now falling apart. Oh dear. Right, you touch that, you touch that, you touch that, you touch that. You touch that because that's parallel. I'm reasonably happy with this as a group of options. I think the logic for the pinwheel is sound. I just am not certain the orientation of that pinwheel. Like, all of this feels really good. Is this definitely our domino? If this is our single, that would have to be our domino. Which means this would have to be our trio. Because if we do it that way, we make another single. We can't have 2 singles. If we do this and have that come in, it makes another single. We can't have a single. So it feels like that has to be this. That's what that feels like. Which means if this needs to have an open edge, it can't do this, because then that would have to be that, and we can't have another double. This makes a reasonable amount of sense. Except we have to not pin that in that way, so that would have to go this way. This is feeling better. Whether it's feeling correct, still uncertain, but it's feeling better. That's going to have to join that so that that can come out. Because we already have our single, double, triple. That has to go all the way up to there. Which means that's cut off. That's going all the way to there. Are we actually getting somewhere with this time? Okay. Can I give someone an extra piece? I can't do that. That ends up with these 2 being L's. Like, this feels so clean. It's just this up here doesn't feel clean. Can't have another domino. Can't have another trio. This makes a 1, which is really unfortunate. Then obviously this is just a horrible looking thing. God damn, the rest of it looks so good. Like this getting out to there just looks so clean for the shapes being different. Like this gets its resolution. Can't have another 3. I can't have another domino. I'm so mad that this isn't seeming to work out. I'm just grasping at anything that I might be able to change. Where's our domino? Right now it's up here. That was our domino. Is there any other way I could do this? I don't think so. Oh, where did I go wrong? Right. You must come out to here. You must come out to there. You must come out to there. You must come out to there. You have a parallel line, which means you must do that. You must come out to there. These are all things I know that must be true. Am I still convinced that the pinwheel must exist? We've been here for 23 minutes. I knew we were going to start on a 6, but sheesh. Like, I can taste how close I think I am to some semblance of a solution. It's just this little bit over here that is not gelling. Right, that has to do that. So that has to do that. That can't be the same color as that, so that must do that. And if this is going to be this, which I can't see any way that it can't be, but just because I don't see it doesn't mean it's not there, you know? But it does look that way, doesn't it? I can't make it work in any other way. We could do this. We could reset and just do that and check progress. Everything entered so far is correct. All right, so I don't use this very much because I like to kind of find where things are correct for myself, but I'll take that as the the pinwheel verification of my dreams. So from here, we think we know a lot of things. Whether we do know a lot of things or not remains to be seen. It means that this can't do that because it leaves a 1. So that must connect to this. That can connect also to that. That's true. It means that that is getting that for its palisade. This cannot do this because that's a single, so I think that must be our domino. I think that must be true. Now I just need to figure out how to get this to work. So this has to be a different color than this, because that's coming out that way. And it has to join to that. That's fine. That means that's going to come out to here. Now, this can't be this because it makes a single. So that has to take that and that. This has to come out of here to here. And it has to be a different color to this. This can't be a domino because of that. Therefore, is this our chevron? Which means this can't be a chevron in comparison. But right now I don't have a better solution for this corner. Either this is coming down, or this is going across, and I think it has to be the across, because if this comes down, this can't come up to this dead end. So this is where our pinwheel kind of comes in. Except not that. That can go that way. That can pick up all of that, which is something I definitely wasn't looking at earlier. That would have to be this going down through there to here. That has to come up. That has to come across and end there. Which means this has to pick up those. How do I get all of these to be dead ends together? Have we used a we have used a domino. But this feels so much closer. It's just these little nubbins. You can resolve like that. You can resolve like that. It's so close. And yet so far because I can't have more ones. Oh, that's the worst, man. This can't do this because then I end up with 2 corners. So that would have to come down to there. How can I get all of these to be corners without doing a trio? I don't think I can. Not without a trio or a single. And we've already spent our double. I really wonder if the trio is up in that corner or not. Oh, is this the future of this video series? Is 1 hour videos where I solve one puzzle? Because it could be. It could be that. Right. That has to pick up that. That has to pick up that. That has to go up that way, which means this has to come up this way. That's fine. Right, that stops this being a trio. That lets that be a 4, which is obviously more room. What was my debate about going up, down versus left, right here in previous rounds? Because that can go to there. That can pick that up. That can come out to there. And that has to come out to here. Has to come out to there. That can go up to there. And come down here. And that's a dead end into that. Now I haven't used a trio. So this is feeling more viable. I've used a duo. Oh, we're so close. Thank goodness. We were so close in so many spots, but we got there. Half hour's not so bad. It's not incredible, but it's not so bad. This guy? All have to be different shapes. Each region contains exactly one of each symbol. It's a difficulty 6. That's what I've got so far. If this did this, this would have to get out to somewhere else. And it couldn't. So I think that has to be true. Because, like, if we did this, this blue can't ever get round to anywhere else. Now, it could come out the back of that. So that's not... because they all have to be different shapes. They can't all just be a group of 3s in a line. They all have to make different shapes eventually. This blue must go to that red. There's no other line out that it can get to any other red. Equally, this blue must go to that red. If this blue goes to that red, this blue can't get out. So it's really starting to seem that this is going to be true to some extent or another. And then we have these guys up top. It would just be, how the hell do we make all of these be custom shapes? Seems to be the the mystery about this, because they all must have different shapes. But from what I can tell, at a glance and a bit of poking, this blue and this red form such a barrier to kind of cross-pollination of flowers in opposing directions that mean we can't then move things over those lines. So now it just feels like I have to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 unique shapes out of what remains. Now this in the corner, this has more breathing room, so I'm going to focus on this. Well, this has the least breathing room, so that could just be the 3. Which would mean this would have to be the 4. Which would mean that would hook over that way. That's that. This is extra long. We've got a 3. We don't have one of those. We do have a 4 already, right? Yeah. We end up with lots of 4-looking pieces, which is obviously no good to us. I'm just going to reset the level here and just see if there are any other ways that I can see to pair up reds and blues in a way that I'm not seeing or didn't see the first time round. Because that traps this. That traps this. This can only get to there through this boundary. This can only reach that through this boundary. It does seem so, doesn't it? That this is our starting point and we just have to find a bunch of different ways to make these colours resolve. Let's think about this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things. They're all at minimum 3. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 free spaces. So if we have 8 groups of minimum 3 with 12 spaces, we can kind of distribute 1.5 spaces each to things. But the bigger we make stuff, the easier it is for that thing to be unique, right? This guy is definitely the most contained. Whether... But then, okay, so also something to think about is there must be a unique solution, is something that we've worked with before. If this was 4 and this was 3, I guess that comes over that way, that comes over that way. Like, it doesn't feel very unique solution-y on that side. This is the easy part. The hard part's then going, okay, what's the logic of what must be next or not next? Because now it's like a colouring exercise, but like if we say, okay, this is going to be 4. All right, well then this needs to be at least 4 and 1. All right, well this needs to be at least 4 and 1 and 1 more. But then this is 4. Are these all unique so far? Yes. Is there anything more I can do with this? We don't have a 4 straight shot yet, which would have to be this. Do you have a 3 straight shot, so that would need to be bigger. That would need to be bigger. And now we're looking at, this is a 4, a 4, and a 4. We can't make 3 4s unique with 2 spare tiles. It can't be done. Just do that. So what can I do after that, you know? We need to make 8 unique shapes out of 12 pieces spare. All of them are a 3 long bar. We can't make them shorter. So we're going to have 1 3 long bar. Then... Okay, here's a question. Can any of these make that shape? I think the answer is no, which is annoying. Because that would be a really nice thing to find for one of the center bars to be doing. Because after we've had a 3, we then have to think about all the Tetris shapes that we could use by adding 1. Like if this was the 3, and that was a 5 hook, that was a 4. That's the same as that now, so that would have to be different. That would have to do that. And then, again, we have 3, 3, and 3. We've done a 3, so that would have to be at least a 4. That would have to come up to here, and then we're stuck in this situation where we have 4, 4, and 4, all trying to vie for uniqueness again. Let's just check progress on this. Everything entered is correct so far. Yeah, okay. It's just... How the hell do you make all these regions different with such limited space? Okay, of all the pieces, this can do this, which would force that to do that. Or this can do this. That's the only ones that can make that shape as a 5. If that were true, let's start with this side. If this is true, that becomes a 4. These are all different. We don't have a 4 long line yet. Those two become the same. Oh dear. That's the 3 long. just those. Can I get anything to be slightly different here? Really can't. Really, really can't. Oh, what's the move? If this is a long L shape, then this could be a 4. But this can't be it, because that could do that, or that could do that, and it would both be a solution and it wouldn't be unique. So it's not that. Oh, man. I like the idea that this is the 3 just because it's so confined. I can't believe that this is such a seemingly simple puzzle construction with such a apparently difficult resolution. Not that one. Like, after this, I'm amazed that there is some piece of logic that says that must go there for the next thing. That's what really baffles me. What if we try this? Then that becomes the L, that becomes the 3. That has to do that. That would have to be at least 4. We don't have a 4 yet. But that would have to be the 4. That's a 3. Can't have a pair of 4s and a pair of 5s. You can't have 3 4s. You can't have 2 3s. This is a ridiculous puzzle. Where's the logic? I don't even know how else to, like, describe what it is I know, apart from, yeah, these guys must go together in these trios, and we know that that's correct. If this gets longer... Okay, how about this? One of these has to be 3 long. Because if this gets longer, then we can't have those matching. Actually, yeah, we could do that, but then that would do that, which would be a non-unique solution. So if that comes out, it has to come out even further. But then this means that this is a non-unique solution. Okay. So if this comes this way, then that and that again make efforts at a non-unique solution. Therefore, I believe this must have a box around it because other options give the ability for non-unique solutions in too many degrees of freedom after this. That's what I get to. Great. There is at least one mistake. Ah! So, that was not correct. Okay. So this must come down to at least here. That's interesting. That is not what I expected from what I thought I just figured out, but hey. So one of these has to be the 3, I think. Because we can't do 4, 4, and 4. If this comes over, one's a 4, or one's a hook and a 3. We can't do that because then that matches that. Okay, but if we're deciding that this is definitely coming to here, and that one of these is the 3, it means that this definitely is not a 3. That becomes a small L. Oh. It just gets worse and worse and worse looking, doesn't it? I'm just so impressed that this puzzle can even exist. It's one of those ones that seems like so mathematically unlikely. So I still think it stands true that one of these must be the 3, therefore none of these can be the 3. T3, 4, hook. Which can't be that, can it? I can't see a way to make a deduction here. But it feels like there aren't that many ways that I can try and color 8 groups. It's mad. And the grid just feels so small every time I try and make a different adjustment. It's like, oh no, immediately scuppered. Immediately. I'm going to spend more time on this after getting this far. At least in the other puzzle, I was like, oh, we have places to try things and attempt to make progress. But this is just banging my head against a wall. So this has to be this, and there has to be a unique solution. Can't be this. Could be that. Three, 4, 5. I'm gonna do this a second. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 extra regions. And we have 8 groups that we need. It's not really helping. My brain wants it to be helpful, because I don't know what else to try and do. Let's assume that out here somewhere is a region of 3, which is our long straight. And then if there's 8 regions and 12 spare spaces, there'd be 1. So there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each getting... 7 of them are getting 1 each, and then 5 of them can get another. It just doesn't seem so helpful, does it? I want it to be more helpful because I want to find somewhere to go with this puzzle. These give me the most kind of suspicion. So if this goes this way, this can't do that. It can't be 4 and 4. It could be 1 goes both sides. If we do this and have a 3 and a 5, or this and a 3 and a 5, there's no uniqueness about that. So I think either this has to do this, or this has to do this, but not both. Okay, it's that way. Okay. So now, either this is a 4 and a 3, or it's a 3 and a hook. We don't know which yet. I cannot wait to, at some point, watch somebody do this puzzle and go, okay, we get all these 3 pairs, and here's the logic that you must use to get to where you're going next, because I just don't understand it at all. If you understand it and you can put it in comments, please do, but it's going to be very difficult to discuss this. Even if we did like, if the grid were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you were doing coordinates for all the squares, you know? Well, in any case, one of these is our 3. It's whether it's this one or this one. If this comes over... Okay, no, that can't come over. But one of those... So that must be a line. That's fine. Then what? If this were T, and this were 5 long, and that did that, this couldn't go, because we get 2 4s and 2 5s. You can't be a 3, so you must go up. Nope. Nope. I'm so flabbergasted by this puzzle. so I'm back to this. Is this... Hold on. Is this right? Where's the mistake? Oh, God. I didn't even think about that. Well, now I just feel like I haven't really solved this puzzle, and no matter how we get to the solution, I feel like I haven't really solved it at all, which is sad. I did hypothesize this for a while. If this is the 3... Oh, you can get out that way. I hadn't really thought about. You're a 4. Yeah, well, this hint got me there. I can't say I love... I'm probably not going to use this very much more, because it just feels like I didn't solve this puzzle. I just got 70% of the way there and then had the answer given to me, which I do not love as my experience of playing the game. But hey, we had to use it to learn that about ourselves, and that's okay. And of course, if you want to use those hint systems to help guide you on your journey through the puzzles, it's totally valid. This is just the way that I am choosing to engage with the puzzles. All right, well, there is this guy. I think that's probably going to be at least another half hour of mishmashing through that, so I'm not going to do that right now. Probably save that for our victory lap, and we'll go back to a new mechanic next time. For now, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.